he's moving
Oh
closer.
shit.
8. He was still looking at me with 8 fingers
Is he
up.
moving closer?
He's closer. 7. The same thing. 6. The same thing.
Yo.
5. The same thing.
No.
4.
Yo,
He's
kick
drooling,
that man or
and
something,
he's
bro.
much closer. 3.
He's drooling for you,
He's
bro. He wants
closer.
your soul. What's going on, guys? Welcome back for another video of these scary stories. Yes, I know I've been putting it on a hold lately, but that's because Last of Us dropped, man, and I had to finish Last of Us 1, and then Last of Us 2 came out, bro. It's just been crazy, but I know I've been putting it off. This is the final part, the 2019, January through April, man. Finale, I hope. Yeah, finale, as you can see by the title. So without further ado, just roll the clip, man. Roll the clip. True elevator story.
When I was
Whatever.
19 years old,
I couldn't read it fast enough.
on New Year's Eve, a bunch of my friends and I went to a rooftop bar of a hotel. About a half hour before midnight, I ran down to my car because I had forgotten
I
my
already
camera.
know.
I figured I would have plenty of time to get back up there and find my friends. I grabbed my camera and I got into an elevator all by myself. About halfway up, the elevator started shaking and it stopped completely.
Oh, damn.
I was trapped. I have always had a problem with confined spaces.
Bro, have y'all
So this
seen the
was
movie
not an
Elevator?
ideal situation for me. After a few minutes, everything went
It's
silent that
literally
was going
the
on
exact
outside.
same thing, but with like 10
And
people
out
in
of
there.
nowhere, the elevator lights went out, and I started to hear
man.
children laughing. But this was not the type of place where children would be. My heart started beating faster and faster and harder. Then all of a sudden, I passed out.
Damn.
As I woke up, I
Oh
noticed
my
that I
god,
could
too
not move
scared.
or
He
talk.
passed out.
I thought to myself, not sleep paralysis again.
Yo.
Then the lights started to flicker on and off, and then all of a
control
sudden,
your body, bro.
I see a black figure to the left of me in the
Oh.
corner of the elevator.
Yo,
crouching down,
that's the
smiling
devil.
at me. I tried to scream,
No.
but nothing
Oh,
would
shit.
come out. I tried to
No.
move, but I couldn't. A guy came over the loudspeaker and told me there was an electrical short and that he would have me out soon. There's a camera in the elevator, so to the security guard, it looked like I was just laying there. I guess they figured I was drunk, being that it's New Year's. Anyways, every attempt to scream or move, that figure would just start laughing at me and pointing.
Damn.
This whole time, the lights are flickering. Then all of a sudden, I can hear the huge crowds counting down for New Year's.
They celebrated
10.
without you.
The dark figure is staring at me, and now with a menacing smile, with 10 fingers up. 9. He's still looking at me with 9 fingers up, and he's moving closer.
Shit.
8. He was still looking at me with 8 fingers up.
Is he moving closer?
He's closer. 7. The same thing. 6. The same thing.
Yo.
5. The same thing.
No.
4.
Yo,
He's
kick
drooling,
that man or
and
something,
he's
bro.
much closer. 3.
He's drooling for you,
He's
bro. He wants
closer.
your soul.
2. He was closer. Then the lights quit flickering, and it was pitch black. Then all of a sudden, outside went silent again. I felt breathing in my right ear. And then out of nowhere, I hear
Oh my
1.
god.
I couldn't breathe. The
That's
lights
it.
started to flicker
That's it.
again, and then the figure was on my chest. And all of a sudden, it was
Yo.
and I can talk and move again. Usually when I have sleep paralysis, something bad happens. Once I got out of the elevator,
Yeah,
an
he
hour
took
later,
your soul.
I found out that there was a brawl during the countdown on the rooftop bar that I was at, and 4 people were killed by some maniac who was waiting until the end of the countdown to start hacking up people with a machete.
Damn.
Ever since then, I have not had a sleep paralysis episode.
Blessing in disguise? What the fuck? Skinny dipping horror story. Yo,
name
we
is
getting
Yusuf.
into it. Oh,
I'm 21 years
man.
old.
Fuck.
A few weeks ago, my parents decided to go to Lebanon for a few days while I stayed home. I was happy to have a few days to myself, so I decided to drive to the lake which my family went camping at when I was small. It was remote, surrounded by trees, and barely anyone goes there. I decided to stay for one night though. As I got there, I decided to dare myself into skinny dipping since I was alone. To be honest,
Who the
it was
fuck?
quite refreshing and relaxing.
Skinny dips alone, bro.
As it was getting dark,
You gotta
I
go
took out
skinny
some
dip with some
firewood
girls,
to try
bro.
up with a campfire and got my lunch.
This man swear he's like
That
Bear
night,
Grylls or something.
I dared myself into sleeping naked under my towel as I would never get another chance like this. As I woke up, I was shocked. My towel was gone. I couldn't find my clothes either. I felt scared as this meant I wasn't alone in the woods. To my luck, my car keys weren't stolen, so I decided to get home. However, since I was staying for one night, I didn't bring any extra clothes.
That's
Due to my condition, I had to drive on those
can't, bro.
barely used roads to avoid any exposure to the public.
Man
It was a
driving
bumpy
naked,
ride,
bro.
but it
That's
was
what you
worth it.
get, bro, for being weird.
After a few hours, I saw a man in the distance near the road.
Don't
He
stop,
tripped
bro.
and hit his head on a rock.
Oh, he's stupid.
I knew I needed to stop and give him some
Yeah.
help. But as I saw,
Who the fuck?
I
Like, yo,
realized he
he's
was
coming.
wearing the
He's
same
coming.
clothes I wore yesterday. I got out to ask if he's
And this man comes out naked. No, I can't, bro.
As
I
I got
can't.
closer, he grabbed my hand and looked at me. He had wide eyes
this
and a
nigga's
huge
sus.
terrifying smile.
Yo,
I was more scared than I liked to admit.
yo.
I quickly
Oh
got in my
my
car
God,
and
bro.
drove away. I managed to get home by sunset and it took me
These
a few
people
minutes
are
to get
weirdos,
balls to run to my
dog.
front door. I have no return to the lake, and his smile haunted me ever since.
Why'd you get
That
out the
begins
car,
with
bro?
a C and has a big college that I lived near.
No title?
I attended a different college than the one I
Alright.
mentioned and made the 20-minute drive from the city to that college. I also worked nights as a pizza delivery man in the city and the surrounding suburbs. One night, I had an order in the town where my college is located, which is a smaller suburban city northwest of my home city. Now, this call occurred during what my coworkers and I refer to as the dead hour, which is just before the shop closed at 1 in the morning. I begrudgingly took the pizzas, got in the car, and plugged the address into the
That boy
GPS.
mad, he gotta deliver
I
those
noticed that the
pizzas
house
at
was
1
located
o'clock.
off on a back road in what
Like,
looked
god
like a
damn it,
sparsely
I was just
populated
closing
area.
too.
Not thinking much of this, I drove up Route 315 to I-270 East and exited. After passing through downtown, the cemetery, and the college, I drove through some subdevelopments and then onto a smaller road where the house was located. The GPS notified me that I had arrived to my destination, but to my surprise, the house was boarded up.
That's a trap house,
I noticed
bro.
that there was a small shed in the back of the house that had a small window. There was a flickering light in the window. At this point, almost every red flag had gone off
Yo,
in my
he's
head.
tweaking. Look at
I knew
him.
my hard-ass boss would be pissed if I wimped out on this delivery, so I proceeded towards the shed. As I got closer to the shed, I heard a rustling in the bushes next to the driveway. Then I heard a man whisper,
Here they come, Billy. 45, 45.
At that point, a man jumped out of the
Oh.
bushes and two other men jumped out of the shed. They were carrying knives and
Like the
were wearing
Ninja
these
Turtles,
long
bro.
robes and white masks. I made it back to the car just in time, but one of the assailants managed to slip my arm. As I escaped,
What?
I could see the assailant standing in the middle of the road looking pissed.
Oh, that's so
I
stupid. Y'all
probably
wanna
drove
rob a
90 miles
pizza
per
guy?
hour on the way back.
He ain't got anything
When I got
on
to
him.
the
Like
shop,
40,
everyone
maybe
looked
80
shocked.
bucks.
After explaining everything to them, we contacted the police and dispatched a few officers to the house. When they got there, the assailants were gone. They found some drug paraphernalia in the shed, and some ropes and some weird torture equipment.
Damn, bro. Good thing you didn't get caught. True road trip horror story. Animated.
I was on a road trip with my friend Tom throughout upstate New York. On our second night of driving, we were taking some peaceful back road through the woods
Yo,
because
my
we were
boy,
tired of the noisy
You
highway.
sound like you're tired right now.
So as we were driving down this narrow, dilapidated road,
Fix that attitude,
Tom
bro.
suddenly really needed to use the bathroom.
Go outside,
I
bro.
asked him if he could hold it, but he said that if he held it any longer, his bladder would explode.
Bro,
So I just
there's
sighed and
open
tried
road
to find like a
outside.
gas station or something.
That's what I do
There's
every time I
nothing to
take a
be
long
seen,
road
though.
trip, bro.
So I was thinking about pulling over and letting him piss in the woods. but
Yeah.
Finally, I saw lights cutting through the darkness up ahead. It was a 7-Eleven, thank God. Before I'd even parked the car, Tom flew out the door and raced inside. I realized while waiting in the dark car I was actually hungry, so I pulled out some change from my pocket. It would at least be enough for a bag of crappy Cheetos or something. So then I went inside. As I was walking through the store examining everything on the shelves, I felt a tingly feeling on my neck, like I was being watched. I turned around and saw a bearded man in a yellow suit casually slip into the other aisle. I rolled my eyes, picked up a bag of Cheez-Its, purchased them, and walked back to my car, looking at the dark woods behind the 7-Eleven. Tom had been gone forever, so I texted him and he told me he was just finishing taking a huge shit, which was classic Tom. I was just crunching on my Cheez-Its when I heard somebody go, "Psst."
Psst. Psst. You trying to share some?
I quickly looked around but saw nobody. Over here. Finally, I spotted a man peeking his head around a tree in the dark woods. His face was all dirty, and he had glassy eyes. We stood staring at each other for what seemed like the longest time, until he said, "Come over here. I want to show you something." Hell no. I got in my car and locked the doors, texting Tom to hurry the fuck up. I told him there was a creepy weirdo outside the car, and he was all like, "Alright, be right over."
Alright, be right over.
Later on, he walked out the doors and climbed into the car.
I
and
can't,
I hit the
bro.
gas to get as far away from that fucking place as possible.
This dude's narrating is just too much.
As we were driving, I looked back one last time in the rearview mirror and saw 3 cloaked, bulky men standing in the trees
Damn.
surrounding
They were
the
trying to jump
7-Eleven.
you.
Needless to say, I still have no idea what the hell was going on at that place, nor do I ever want to find out.
Look at Tom, bro. Creepy man story. Is it all one word?
It was around
is this
5:30
supposed to
p.m.
be said one
I
word?
was walking in the street to my dormitory
man
since
story.
my home is far away from my school. There
That
were
sounds
only
about
3
right.
to 5 people passing by that street at that time. While walking, I was texting my boyfriend, asking him if I could come over that night, since I have a project to make and my laptop's being an ass. It won't turn on, so I was hoping I could borrow his laptop.
You know
And
he's not
then,
gonna
when I looked
decline.
up, there was an old man walking towards me. The street was narrow, so I stopped and moved away to the side to make room for him when he did the same. I nervously laughed and moved to the other side, and he copied me again. This time I felt a bit nervous. Excuse me, I muttered.
This old man's a
I
weirdo.
tried to get away from him, but he kept blocking my direction. Then he laughed and moved away. I felt relieved. I quickly walked past him, and then he stomped his feet behind me. I got startled, and then he laughed. I thought he was just a crazy old man. I told my boyfriend about it, and he asked me if I was okay. So I told him not to worry. Around 7 p.m., I was at the jeepney stop waiting for a jeepney to arrive because I was going to my boyfriend's apartment since it was 45 minutes and 2 rides away.
Yo, what?
30 or 45 minutes later,
Tell his ass to
there
come
was one
scoop you,
jeepney
bro.
with only 5 passengers.
What?
So I hopped in. One by one, the passengers got off the jeepney until I was the only one left. "Drop me off by the terminal, please," I said. He didn't say a word, just kept on driving. When we finally got into the terminal, he didn't
Damn.
stop.
You better roll out of there.
Just drop me off here, please, I told him again. Then I saw his face in the rearview mirror. It was the crazy man from earlier.
it's the same
I panicked.
dude.
He was looking at me, smiling. I immediately called my boyfriend.
Damn.
Since
I mean,
we
what's your
don't have
boyfriend gonna do?
911 here. He wasn't picking up.
We
I
don't
didn't know
have
what to do.
911 here.
Should I jump off the Jeep?
Yes.
Then suddenly a group of friends halted the Jeep and he stopped. I immediately got off and ran. I might have looked like a maniac to those teenagers, but I didn't care.
I thought they were your
called
friends.
my boyfriend again, who finally picked up. He had just got off from school and I told him everything. He picked me up where I was, and since then
He's had a
never let me
car
travel
all this
at night.
time. Yo, he don't care about you, baby girl. He don't. Online dating gone wrong. Almost kidnapped.
When I was 18, I only just recently got out of a relationship with a significant other, and I wanted to see other people. I took up online dating on this app that I don't want to name. I never told my parents about my previous relationship, or the guys that I talked to online, so they know nothing about this story. But I still need to tell them one day. Anyway, within a short period of time, I received lots of messages from guys. Most of them were perverts, or just didn't catch my attention, until a cute guy messaged me. I forgot his name, so we'll just call him Justin. Justin was around 23 years old at the time. When he messaged me, he told me how attractive I was and showered me with affection and romantic text messages. I was naive at the time, so I was awed and blushed when he told me all that. We started to get to know each other. He was living in Canada, and I was a Polish girl living in the United States. We had a few hobbies in common, and we both went to college. I was studying to be a police officer to get an associate's degree, and he was going to university to get a bachelor's degree.
Wow. Both
Then,
in
eventually,
college, so much in common.
his messages started to make me uncomfortable. He said that he preferred white girls over Asian girls, and that he always wanted to have sex with a white girl. He asked me if I was still a virgin, and even though I felt uncomfortable, I said yes. He started talking to me sexually, and I didn't like it, but I complied. Then he asked me if I could visit him sometime in Canada, even though I just met him a couple days ago.
Baby girl, come to the 6 out
Living
here,
with
bro.
my parents in a strict Polish household, I told him that I couldn't because of that. He then argued that I was an adult and I could make my own decisions, which was true, but as a Polish person, you still have to listen to your parents even though you're an adult.
Not even that.
Of course,
if you
I
living
did
under your
tell him
parents'
that I
roof,
lived
you
in
can't
the
do
United
anything.
States, but I didn't tell him exactly where I live. He then asked me if I lived in XYZ town in XYZ state. I was shocked when he asked this because I never told him exactly where I lived, and on my profile,
Damn.
I did not give out my location, so I have no idea how he found out about that.
But you did speak
I
to
lied
him
to
about
him
what college
and
you
said that
going
I
to.
didn't, but he said I was lying, and I confessed. Then he asked me for my address, but I refused to give it to him. He got angry and said that everyone gave their address out, which of course I knew wasn't true. I then blocked him, but the story doesn't end there. A few weeks later, I heard that in my neighborhood, there was a break-in. 2 men broke into a house, but they didn't steal anything. Instead, they might have been looking for someone. My heart jumped when I heard this.
Damn, they was looking for
Justin
you.
was looking for me. A couple houses later, and they gave up. I waited a while later, and I have not heard about anything like this again. I dread to think what might have happened if Justin found the right house in my neighborhood and kidnapped me.
GG. Real creepy guy's horror story.
I've been followed by creeps before, and in one case was almost assaulted. I was never truly scared about that type of stuff. I've been through a lot in my life, and I consider myself to be pretty strong.
You are.
Even when
You
some
are,
creep
baby girl.
attempted to assault me, I wasn't scared because I knew I was gonna beat his ass.
What the?
I never feel threatened unless I get my gut feeling.
What kind of story
I know
is
when
this,
something
bro?
bad's gonna happen, or if someone's
This
a
girl
shady
has
character,
spidey
etc.
senses.
My friends tell me I have some type of sixth sense. I'm not one for superstition, but I also have to agree it gets really weird, and I'm almost always right. One
Well, I
day,
mean, humans
got
do
the
have a
worst
sixth sense. It's called the
feeling
predator
I've ever
sense.
had in my life.
The sense when
I was in
someone's
my
looking
first
at
year
you
of
and
college,
you know it.
living in some very nice apartments. I loved living there. It was a Friday, and I needed to head to the bank before it closed because I forgot to cash in my check beforehand. I left my house, locked the door,
There
and
you
started
go,
heading
girl.
towards my
Chase
car.
that bag.
Right as I left the hallway of my apartment complex and started walking, a beat-up rusty truck pulled up as
Oh.
if on cue.
Damn.
There were 2 guys inside. One was a pretty big guy with tattoos and looked like he just got out of prison, and the other one was super skinny with glasses. The second I laid my eyes on them, I had my gut feeling kick in. It was worse than usual, and I immediately felt like shit. The big guy was driving and started to tell me things like, "You are so beautiful, come over here, let's talk. You're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." I didn't want to walk to my car because I didn't want them to know what car I drive. And I didn't want to walk back to my house because I lived on the first floor, which is easier to break into. And if they didn't know already where I lived, I wanted to keep them from finding out. So I started walking to the front office of the apartment complex, which was a little far away. I already had my pocket knife out, but hidden in my sweater sleeve. They kept calling out, trailing me as I walked to the office. I kept my eye on them so I knew what they were up to. They eventually asked me to go to a party with them.
What the
big guy said, "We're having a party at 2 a.m. at a friend's house who lives here.
2 a.m.
Wanna come?
That
We can
ain't no
all
party,
hang out
bro.
beforehand and get to know each other before we go." It was around 3:30 p.m. at the time, just for your information. I ignored them and told them, "No, stop bothering me." They kept trying to persuade me by saying nice things and stuff, and eventually they both said, "If you come with us, we'll give you a free pair of shoes." The skinny guy then leans back and starts digging around
What
the
you
back
got,
seat.
some Balenciagas?
I stopped to look because I wanted to make
She
sure he
did.
wasn't gonna grab a gun or
Oh,
duct tape or some shit
I
like
thought
that.
she wanted to make sure he
I
had
was a good
shoes.
few feet away from the truck and took a running position just in case. He pulls out a dark blue suitcase from the back seat and opens it.
What is it, cash?
Inside there are maybe 100 different pairs of shoes.
Hey,
The
what is
sizing
that?
ranged from a
Some
small pink Dora the
Christian
Explorer
Dior's?
shoe to an adult-sized woman's stilettos. That's the moment where my gut feeling went into a frenzy. My knees became so weak I threw up on the spot. I've never felt so sick and felt so disgusted in my entire life. I felt pure evil. I screamed no, and they became extremely angry and began to get out of the car. I booked it.
Boy, that
In the
skinny
street,
guy
my
looks like he
neighbor's
needs a
little kids were
sandwich.
playing outside. I snatched them up and ran all the way to the front office.
Oh, you're such a
No
good
way
person.
I was gonna leave these little kids behind with some fucking freaks. The minute we got there, I told the front office, and they called the cops. And I called the kid's mother. I told them that her kids were with me and not to leave the house in case they were still out there. I didn't want them to find out where she lived either. After that, for the next few days, I was terrified to leave my house. So terrified I had my friend come and stay with me for about a week. On the 4th day, we were getting ready to leave to go get food. And while I was locking the door, my friend said, "That's a shitty looking truck." I turned around.
No.
It was those guys in the truck right in front
They're
of my
back.
house. We ran back
Rule
inside.
number 2.
Apparently they had been stalking out my place for a while. They were never caught, and I never saw them again after the apartments cracked down on security.
Now they know where you live.
I learned about serial killers in school and found out some take trophies of their victims. I always thought back and wondered,
Yeah, shoes.
what if all
exactly.
those shoes were trophies?
Is that a
Needless to
foot right
say,
there?
I no longer live there.
Hitchhiking horror stories, bro. Why do y'all pick up these hitchhikers?
When I was 17, I didn't have a driver's license. Most of the time I walk or hitchhike. There was this one night. There weren't that many cars on the road, and it was very cold. And this man pulled over. When the guy pulled over, I took a good look at the guy and figured I could take him if he tried anything.
He needs a sandwich too, bro.
He
Looks
was
like
on
he
the
needs
slender
3.
side and had a strange frailness about him, even though he looked healthy enough.
He look.
I got into the car.
He don't
after
look
we
healthy
agreed
at
on
all,
the
bro.
destination. We exchanged names and I warmed my
man.
fingers up in front of the heating group. He spoke quietly, asking a few questions along the lines of, was I local and how did I like living there? He said he only been here for a few months, but found it beautiful and hoped he could find happiness there. That comment struck me as a little odd, but I brushed it off. It began to snow and the road quickly got slippery. So he slowed and he kept his eyes straight out the windshield, driving silently. I was okay with that, as small talk was never my forte. About 10 minutes later, I noticed a car near the intersection.
Oh, man.
Seemingly sliding, so I said,
What is he,
"Watch
on
out."
lead?
He immediately hit the gas, shooting through the intersection and burst out with, "Don't ever scream at me." Needless to say, I was taken aback. I said,
For real, bro.
"Look, this is close enough. Just pull over here and I can get there." He didn't seem to hear me.
Hell nah.
So I said, "Richard, did you hear me?" I said, "You can pull over here and let me out." But no response. He just stared straight ahead, driving faster now than he did when it started snowing. To say I was scared doesn't
He
seem
on a
to
suicide
cover the depth
mission.
of the fear that began to rise in me. I didn't know if I should stay quiet or speak,
Just roll out,
but
bro.
I was damn sure not going to yell after his outburst. After about a mile, he
Bro, he's in
began
the
to
middle of the
mumble
highway.
under
How you
his
want him to stop
I
right
couldn't
there?
quite make out what he was saying, but I assumed he was speaking to me. So I said, "What did you say? I couldn't hear you." He began to speak quietly and rapidly, saying things like, "You're always yelling at me. I've told you time and time again, do not yell at me. I don't appreciate it. No, you don't listen. You don't listen."
You sound like
I
a
was
little
just sitting there
bitch.
looking at him. I was at a complete loss. I didn't know what to say in response, or if I should say anything at all.
Don't, bro. Just don't.
I contemplated just
don't.
jumping
Let
out
it
of
be,
the car,
bro.
but nixed that idea when I realized the door lock was missing. There was just a silver-lined hole where it should have been. I started to cry and debate with myself about causing an accident by grabbing the wheel and hoping for the best.
You might
When he
as well.
suddenly looked at me for the first time since I had gotten in the car. He blinked several times, rapidly, then slowed the car, pulling into a gas station. I waited to see if he unlocked the doors, not wanting to say anything to set him off again. After a minute or two, he quietly said, "I think I better let you out of here." And he hit the button to the door locks, and he opened the door. I wasn't about to hesitate, so I jumped out of the car as if I were on
low-key,
fire.
he cared about
I
his
was
safety.
about to turn and walk into the
You know.
gas station when he called my name. He looked so damn sad
hold
and
up.
I hesitated. He apologized, said he was sorry if he had frightened me, that he never would have harmed me.
Bro, he just wanted
And
friends.
he
That's
asked
it.
if I'd be able to get home okay.
Yeah,
I
see,
said I would.
he
and
just
closed the
wanted
door.
your safety, bro.
He began to pull out of the
Because if you
gas
think about
station,
it, it was snowing, first
but
of all.
stopped suddenly.
They were in a highway,
He just
second
sat
of
there
all.
for a couple of moments,
Wait, the fuck's he
his
doing?
head down. I froze, wondering what the hell was up, and was
For
about
real?
to run into the gas station. But he opened his window and yelled at me, waving something in his hand, my hat.
Oh, his hat.
I left it on his seat.
And
I
he wanted to
slowly
make
approached
sure
the
you
side
were
of his
at a
car,
safe spot when he
and he
dropped
handed
you
it
off.
to me,
And he got you his
apologizing
hat,
again.
bro. I mean, and he got you back your
I
hat.
didn't know what else to say, so I just said, "Thanks." I watched as he drove off, making sure he was out of sight before moving on so he wouldn't know which direction I was heading. As I walked, I went to put my hat back on, and a piece of paper fell out of it.
What, his number?
Folded into a paper was a $100 bill.
Bro, and he
The
gave
paper
you
said,
money.
"I'm sorry. Please take a cab and don't hitchhike anymore tonight."
Bro,
I
how
didn't.
is this a scary story?
In fact, it was the last time I ever hitchhiked in my life. Will never, ever do that
This
again.
isn't a scary story, bro. You're just being ungrateful. This guy was looking out for you.
I was 16 when this happened to me, and it still haunts me.
You just
to this
shouldn't have
day.
yelled at him.
My older brother's friend gave me work of house sitting his rather large house for 2 days, with the pay rate being $100 a night. For the sake of privacy reasons, let's call my brother's friend Nick. $200 was a lot for such a simple task as house sitting, and since I recently sold my PlayStation 3 to save up for a PlayStation 4, the job came as godsend. At around 6 p.m.,
It was God's
Nick
plan,
picked me
bro.
up and drove me to his house, as it was getting dark out. Once we got there, he told me about the security cameras he had installed in and out of his home. But I didn't have any intentions of staring at any security monitor all night, as I had brought my laptop to pass the time. After some time had passed, I felt hungry and decided to grab something from the fridge. But as I got up to make my way down, I saw movement out of the corner of my eye from the monitor. I sat back down, closing my laptop, and taking a closer look, noticing the movement coming from camera 4. Upon closer inspection, I noticed that it was a silhouette of what appeared to be a man standing outside the house. Within seconds of glancing away from the monitor, the man was gone. At that very moment, I heard glass shatter somewhere downstairs, causing me to immediately look at the cameras, noticing him crawling in through the basement window at an alarming rate. I started to panic, watching him climb the basement stairs with a knife clenched in his hand. I quickly locked the door to my room and dialed 911, explaining everything. I watched the monitor, terrified to see the man on the same floor as mine, desperately opening and closing the doors, looking for anyone to cross his path.
Damn.
I pressed my ear against the door, straining to hear his now slowed footsteps approach my door as he attempted to open it. Realizing I was in there, he began to shout and pound on the door aggressively, frightening me to the very core.
He's gonna break
as I
that
sat
door.
There shaking, I heard sirens in the distance, steadily getting louder and louder. My fear quickly disappeared as I heard the man run towards the stairs, attempting to escape his fate. When I heard the front door slam open, accompanied by somebody yelling,
Police, put your hands in the air.
Moments later, I walked downstairs and saw the intruder in a pair of handcuffs being escorted to the police cruiser. I thanked one of the officers and called Nick, explaining everything to him. After about 20 minutes, he
what
picked
kind
me
of
up
friends
and took
Nick
me
had?
home. But I got no sleep that night. All I could think of was how lucky I was to be alive. And if the cops hadn't shown up when they did, I wouldn't be here to tell this story.
Alright, boys, we're gonna stop it right there. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. We're done with the whole 2019 year. 2018 coming next. 2020 still isn't finished, so we're gonna just hold off on that. Last of Us 2 also coming up on that, man. There's a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff coming up for you guys. But yeah, hope you guys liked the video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button, man. And yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are staying healthy, man. And I'm out.